All right, thank you, Connor. Your time now is 6:45. We're continuing coverage now. There is more controversy regarding Jeffrey Epstein and President Trump after recently released emails claim the president knew about Epstein's conduct. Our Nathaniel Reed joins us now. And Nate, we know there will be a vote in the House pushing for more files to be released. What's the chances of this passing, and what's been the White House's response?
Yeah, Gabby, the question is not whether it passes. The question is by how much it's going to pass. And we know this because of the way that this bill came up for a vote in the first place. Republicans, some Republicans, but mostly Democrats, signing on to what's called a discharge petition, effectively to try and force Speaker Johnson to hold a vote on releasing the Epstein files. Ultimately, when Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva, who was sworn in earlier this week after waiting 50 days to be sworn in, she signed on, as per her pledge, to this discharge petition, becoming the 218th critical signature to force a vote on releasing the Epstein files. 218 was the magic number. When they hit that magic number, it compelled Speaker Johnson to force scheduling a vote on releasing the Epstein files. He now says he's going to hold that vote this coming week. The question is not whether it'll pass, because, look, 218 people, the majority of the House of Representatives, have already said they're going to vote for this thing. The question is how many additional Republicans could join ranks with a handful of their colleagues to vote in favor of this bill passing. One of the Republicans who backed this discharge petition effort in the first place, Congressman Thomas Massie, the Republican from Kentucky, who's frequently drawn the ire of President Donald Trump, telling me earlier this week his message to skeptical colleagues: get on the right side of history. Take a listen.
My colleagues who are thinking about which way they should vote on that, they can get protection from the president if they vote the wrong way. In other words, if they vote for the cover-up, the president will take care of them in their primary. But this vote will last longer than the president will be in office.
And certainly the political ramifications, too, of whether the voters will punish the party in power, Republicans, if they don't release all of these Epstein files come the 2026 midterm elections. So, okay, it's past the House of Representatives. Let's move on to the other chamber, the U.S. Senate. No guarantee that this bill comes up for a vote. And if it does come up for a vote, which again seems at least a little bit unlikely, it would need bipartisan support. Those 60 votes in the Senate, that threshold for passing that pretty much every piece of legislation needs. So, okay, let's say it passes the Senate, passes the House of Representatives, gets to the White House. The president does not appear to back this. There was reporting this week that he'd reached out to some of the Republicans who tried to force a vote in the House of Representatives to urge them to remove their names from this petition to force a vote on releasing the Epstein files. So does not seem like President Trump's in favor of it. If he were to veto this bill, he'd have to sign into law to make it pass, by the way. If he were to veto this bill, the effort would start right back over and go back to the House of Representatives and the Senate. They would then need to, if they have the support, override the president's veto. I think this is a very long way of saying, Gabby, it is no sure thing that we ever see all of the documents in these Epstein files that so many Democrats and some Republicans are really hoping they can force the Trump administration to release.
Well, Nate, there are a lot of moving parts to this, and I know that you're going to keep a close eye on it. So we'll definitely be waiting to hear more details as you get ready to provide them for us. Thank you so much for your time.